Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we explore why World War II was the most devastating conflict in human history, affecting every continent and leaving a lasting mark on the world. From decisive battles to strategic turning points, political movements, and the suffering of millions, this war shaped the modern era. In today's countdown, we explore 10 key events and moments that defined World War II in ways that changed the course of history. Let's take a deep dive. The invasion of Poland on September 1st, 1939 by Nazi Germany marked the official start of World War II. Using a tactic known as Blitzkrieg or lightning war, German forces quickly overwhelmed Polish defenses with a combination of fast-moving infantry, tanks, and air support. Just 2 days later, Britain and France declared war on Germany. For Poland, it was a brutal occupation that would see the country divided between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union under the secret Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. This invasion wasn't just the beginning of war in Europe. It set the stage for the systematic violence and atrocities that would follow. In 1940, after the rapid fall of France, Hitler turned his attention to Britain. His plan, known as Operation Sea Lion, relied on air superiority over the English Channel, paving the way for an invasion of the British Isles. But Britain's Royal Air Force, RAF, fought back fiercely in what became the first major military campaign fought entirely by air forces. British pilots, many of them outnumbered and flying older planes, managed to fend off wave after wave of German bombers and fighters. Hitler ultimately postponed the invasion indefinitely. Winston Churchill famously said of the RAF pilots, "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few." The British victory in the Battle of Britain ensured that Hitler would never conquer the United Kingdom. December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. Early that morning, the Imperial Japanese Navy launched a surprise attack on the US naval base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. Over 2,400 Americans were killed, and much of the Pacific Fleet was damaged or destroyed, including battleships like the USS Arizona. The attack came after years of growing tensions between the United States and Japan, driven largely by Japan's expansionist ambitions in Asia. The next day, the United States officially entered World War II, declaring war on Japan. The attack on Pearl Harbor not only brought the US into the war, but also unified the American public in ways that shaped the coming years of global conflict. The Battle of Stalingrad is often regarded as one of the bloodiest and most brutal battles in human history. Fought between August 1942 and February 1943, it saw the German Sixth Army, under General Friedrich Paulus, attempt to capture the Soviet city of Stalingrad, a vital industrial center. But Soviet forces, led by General Vasily Chuikov, mounted a fierce defense, and as the brutal Russian winter set in, the tide turned. In November 1942, Soviet forces launched a counter-offensive, encircling the German army in the city. Despite Hitler's orders to fight to the last man, the Germans surrendered in February 1943. The Battle of Stalingrad was a turning point on the Eastern Front, marking the beginning of the Soviet pushback against Nazi forces. June 6, 1944, D-Day. The Allied forces launched the largest amphibious invasion in history, codenamed Operation Overlord. Over 156,000 troops from the United States, Britain, Canada, and other Allied nations landed on 5 beachheads along the Normandy coast in France. The goal to break through Hitler's Atlantic Wall and begin the liberation of Nazi-occupied Europe. The landings were costly, especially on Omaha Beach, where American forces faced fierce resistance. But by the end of the day, the Allies had established a foothold. The success of D-Day opened the way for the Allied advance into France and eventually led to the liberation of Paris. Wait, before we continue with the countdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into history. We've got plenty of incredible content coming your way, and you won't want to miss out on the rest of this list. Now back to the video. By 1945, the Third Reich was on the brink of collapse. After years of devastating conflict, Soviet forces advanced from the east, while Allied forces pushed in from the west. The Battle of Berlin, fought in April and May 1945, was the final major offensive in the European theater of World War II. Soviet forces under Marshal Zhukov encircled the German capital, and brutal street fighting ensued. On April 30th, Adolf Hitler committed suicide in his bunker as Soviet troops closed in on the Reichstag. Just days later, Berlin fell, and on May 8, 1945, Nazi Germany officially surrendered. The fall of Berlin marked the end of the war in Europe and the collapse of the Nazi regime. The Holocaust was the systematic, state-sponsored genocide of 6 million Jews by Nazi Germany, along with millions of others, including Roma, disabled individuals, Poles, Soviet POWs, and political dissidents. The Holocaust was part of Hitler's final solution, a plan to exterminate the Jewish people from Europe. Concentration and extermination camps like Auschwitz, Treblinka, and Sobibor became the sites of unimaginable atrocities. The Allied liberation of these camps in 1945 revealed the full scale of Nazi horrors to the world. The Holocaust remains one of the darkest chapters in human history, serving as a reminder of the dangers of unchecked hatred and bigotry. In August 1945, after years of bloody conflict in the Pacific, the United States made the controversial decision to drop 2 atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The first bomb, codenamed Little Boy, was dropped on Hiroshima on August 6, 1945, instantly killing tens of thousands of people and leveling the city. 3 days later, the second bomb, Fat Man, was dropped on Nagasaki. The devastation and loss of life were unprecedented. On August 15th, Japan announced its surrender, bringing an end to World War II. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were not only significant for ending the war, but also for ushering in the nuclear age and the geopolitical tensions of the Cold War. Out of the destruction and devastation of World War II, a new organization was born, the United Nations. Established in 1945, the UN was created to promote international cooperation, prevent future conflicts, and foster global peace. Its founding members included the major Allied powers, and its structure was designed to give voice to both powerful and smaller nations. The United Nations played a key role in post-war reconstruction and conflict resolution, and today it remains a vital institution in addressing global challenges. The legacy of WWII's devastation laid the foundation for the creation of an international order that seeks to prevent such a catastrophic war from ever happening again. With key institutions like the Security Council and the General Assembly, the UN stands as a symbol of global diplomacy and collective action. World War II was more than just a global conflict. It was a watershed moment in human history, one that fundamentally altered the political, economic, and social landscape of the world. The war's aftermath saw the rise of 2 superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, ushering in the Cold War, a period of intense geopolitical rivalry. Europe, devastated by the war, would rebuild through efforts like the Marshall Plan, while the end of colonialism reshaped the political boundaries of Africa and Asia. At the same time, the creation of international institutions like the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank signaled a new era of global governance and cooperation. The horrors of the Holocaust and the destructive power of nuclear weapons left humanity grappling with profound moral and existential questions. But perhaps the greatest legacy of World War II is the reminder of the fragile nature of peace and the terrible cost of war. From the ruins of this conflict, we can learn valuable lessons about the need for diplomacy, tolerance, and the avoidance of extremism. The world we live in today, our alliances, our conflicts, our technological advancements, and even our values, has been profoundly shaped by the events of World War II. In many ways, we are still living in its shadow. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of the war that reshaped the world. From the devastation and chaos came a new world order, one that we are still grappling with today. What lessons do you think are the most important for us to remember from World War II? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. We have more deep dives into history, so why not check out our video on the insane cost of the top 10 militaries? We also have more videos coming your way, so stay tuned and keep learning. See you next time.